Hello from us on the Leong Farm. I'm Stanley Leong together with my brother, Hossan. And we're excited to welcome you into season 2 of possibly the first ever Singaporean sibling podcast.
That's right. And what's special about this season is that we have an overarching theme that's threaded through each episode. It's called The Turning Point, and it examines what clicked in place for our guests that got them on their path. That aha moment. For our guests now, what got him racing down the track as a national sprinter until he retired in 2005? What's aha moment? Fast forward to today, what led him to become an educator with a passion for youth development?
That's right. And before he runs away from us, let's just get better acquainted with former Singaporean national sprinter UK Shyam. He has also the honour, by the way, of holding the national record for the 100 metres for more than 2 decades.
Yeah,
22 years. And that was until it was recently broken. Recently, because it was only in 2023 with a timing of 10.37 seconds. Can you run that fast?
I can run. No.
Okay.
Cannot run, full stop.
And another notable episode about this was that Shyam had Sensei Kunalan's 33-year-old record tumbling. So that was another, running great that we had here in Singapore. And that happened in 2001 at the World University Games in Beijing.
So welcome, Shyam.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, before every sporting competition, before every time I go on stage, we do warm-ups.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to warm up with you.
Okay.
Verbal warm-ups?
We're going to do brain warm-up.
No muscle stretching.
No need all
Okay.
that. Okay, maybe your palm and a buzzer.
In
front of you, there's a buzzer.
Got it.
We're going to play word association, okay?
Okay.
Very fast. So, because the table very far, cannot put there. Right, cannot reach. So, I will throw out a word, all right? Any of you, the moment the word clicks and you want to associate, you press your buzzer. First, fastest buzzer press answers.
Okay.
And then the other two take over, and so on and so forth. Repeat word, minus point.
So this is...
Wrong word, minus point. What?
It goes on for 1 hour?
No lah, 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, 5 minutes.
Or whenever
Okay.
the game we say enough lah. Because it's just it's getting to know us better because we're a bit siao that way.
Okay,
All right,
that's
here we
one half
go.
of this.
Hands on buzzers. Ready?
Hands.
First word. Spikes.
Running.
Jersey.
Boys.
Girls.
What's a girls?
I was still thinking on the
okay.
sports
Does he have a
team.
forfeit?
Yeah, no, he got minus points. So
Okay.
now he got 0.
Oh.
Okay, so you start the word.
Okay. All right. Ready? Go. Track.
Field.
Hey, mine went first.
Okay.
Field.
Hey, you stole my...
Okay, man. Minus point lah. Okay,
No lah.
okay. Field. Okay, ready, go. Field.
Shot put.
Athletics.
Shyam.
Sprinter.
What? Printer?
Sprinter. What? Printer.
Record holder.
There's 2 words.
Record.
Music.
Michael Jackson.
That's 2. Okay, fail. Okay,
Beat
stop.
it.
Okay,
Why?
enough. Stop it. In fact, time's up. That's 2 words.
Okay, it's quite fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
if I just say Michael, no one knows who Michael is.
Well,
Yeah, there are a lot of famous Michaels around.
but beat is 2 words.
I didn't say Biddy, I said Michael Jackson.
Oh.
Yeah, I said beat it.
Oh, yeah,
but he incepted, right?
Okay, now that we're physically and mentally warmed up,
Okay.
it's time to go into the meat of things with Shyam right here. We're going to start the gun. And the gun starts with how and when competing in your sport, when did it all happen for you?
Okay, it happened when I was like 16-ish, like more than 16 years old. I mean, I had always liked like the 100-meter sprint, like very intrigued by the whole event and the athleticism and all that. But I didn't have the self-confidence to actually go for school training because I don't know, I think because I came from a single parent family, I had like self-esteem issues. And then one day during PE, remember those days? I mean, now you still have PE lessons, right?
Yeah.
And then the PE teacher Mr. Thomas Tan, he actually
I remember full names about Mr. Thomas Tan.
yeah, that's a Singaporean thing, right? Okay. Yeah, so he spotted me like during soccer, and then he told me to come down for training just to try out. But I took a while to actually finally turn up because I was like, oh, I'm not good enough and all that kind of thing. So yeah, that was like 16-ish, 16 plus.
Is 16 quite old already to
Yeah,
start,
it's actually rather old because actually if you want to become like Asian or world class, you do need like a long developmental runway. So that's why we have the sports school where the kids start, like training properly at 12 years old and even a bit earlier than that.
Yeah, I thought, at least early secondary rather than
Definitely.
the later part of secondary school.
Actually, a lot of our swimmers, our national swimmers, and one of the reasons why the standard is so high is because a lot of them are introduced to the sport at a young. Yeah, my good friend Mark Che actually said that he started.
We were thrown into the pool at 6.
At 5, yeah. So Mark started swimming at 5. Oh, you were thrown in, okay.
Because, ACS.
Yes,
we had no
correct.
choice.
Yes.
Mark and all, he would know. We were like, go in, swim. You can't swim, you loser. Like that.
But that, but then I think that's what you need to become of a certain level, because you need that long, runway to develop.
Well, thanks to this Thomas Tan, we discovered a gem in the rough. And then you became a national record holder for the 100 meters for many, many, many years until it was the record was broken. But even before the record was broken, many achievements and accomplishments as well, both personally as well as on the running circuit as well. So let's talk about, Thomas Tan again. Thanks to him spotting talents there. But what was it that then led you to say, okay, let me give it a try? He seems to think I have talent, even though you clearly didn't see at that time you did. What led you to say, okay, let's give it a go?
Okay. I think a bit of dysfunctional conditions because my parents were like going through a divorce at that time. It was a bit messy, so I wasn't really like staying with them. And I think I was quite affected by it. And I think I was going to be just a kid that hung out at Parkway Parade and did nothing, a bit aimless, right? But being on the track and like being part of a team actually gave me this sense of self-worth, because I realized that, hey, I'm actually not bad at something. I'm quite good at something. And it's sort of, it was a form of escapism to some level.
Right. Okay.
Because I didn't enjoy being at home. Actually, the first training that I went to, we had a time trial and I tripped over myself.
Okay.
So I couldn't.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I was like, oh my God, I can't even run straight. But then I picked up really fast, and then I made the school team at the time. So it was just, I think, something very very central to your sense of identity. Right? I think at that age you are looking to
belong.
To belong, and you're looking to know what you stand for, what like stirs your soul, what you think is unique about you. I think
Sense of self-discovery.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's central to everyone, regardless of whether they're in sports or in music or the arts, in every field.
But it's interesting that because you took trauma and turned it on its head, because a lot of people can use that as an excuse. Oh, I came from a broken home. Oh, I had and then do whatever and gone the other way. You could have gone the other way.
I think I could have gone the other way, but I also think that I was blessed to have like people in my life who believed in me. And I think that's actually like very important, because I think I really like what you said. I could have gone the other way, and I was a bit like a messed up kid in that sense that like I didn't really like study, or I was like always affected by what was happening at home and all that. I mean, like certain points in my life, I was like just moving around rental room to rental room with my mom and sis. And I longed for that whole idea of like a family where you have a father figure,
stability.
Yeah. And I saw it in some of my friends, and it like really, really affected me. I mean, we stayed in rental rooms where it's like your kitchen is next to your bed.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing, because we squeezed everything in and all that. So that I think made me very, very insecure. You could say that a chip on the shoulder to some extent, right? And those are the baggages that we carry like all the way. Yeah.
Well, you definitely unpack that and you know, look where you are today. In fact, you're talking about, you know, taking us back to those days where you were still a student. And here you are in today's context, working with students very closely. It's almost like coming full circle. Do you see it that way?
It is.
How did that come about though?
Wow. Okay. That came about because like when I was in NUS, I actually like fell in love with philosophy. And then I got so like deep into philo. Ironically, after my career like became a mess, right? And like my run-ins with the press at that time, you know, that time was like pre-social media, right?
Wait. What run-ins with the press?
I don't even know about run-ins with the press.
Wow,
but
excited now.
I'm supposed to be press with the news, but
I can talk to you
please
about
update
it.
us.
Yeah.
Refresh our memories.
Yeah, I think like the relationship with the press was like an amazing one lah. Like when times were good, I had a lot of attention. I think precisely because like the 100 meters is quite it's a marquee event,
Yes.
right? Everyone wants to watch it.
Fastest
And
man.
yeah, I think that title, and I think that at that time also there was a lot of you didn't have like there were a lot of brands that were coming to me, so that was like a blessing, right?
Yeah.
So like Tag Heuer and Nike and all that. So there was a time when some of our sportsmen were like in the media limelight in general. And I think that brought a lot of visibility. So it was good and bad. I'll tell you about the bad like later on.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
So you're saying that was the turning point where you decided to go into education.
I decided to go into education because I just love the whole idea of philosophy, love the idea of like thinking critically, and some of the ideas that I had learned about in university, like by Nietzsche, that examine the human condition. And then I had this opportunity to teach like philosophy, which is known as like knowledge and inquiry, KI. It's an A-level subject at Hwa Chong.
Oh,
and
wow.
then so like I jumped at the chance lah, right? Imagine falling in love with a subject, and then suddenly being able to share the ideas with people. So I quickly jumped into that.
And that you did for more than a decade.
Yeah, very long.
Do you think
Correct.
critical thinking should be taught to all Singaporeans?
Yes, definitely.
We just had this conversation on the way here.
Yeah.
I was like, aren't they already very critical?
Without thinking. You know, I mean, I'm just going off tangent here, but
Yeah.
because, you know, sometimes I'm guilty of it. I rant on social media, but then sometimes you have points to put, and they're all very, you thought through them,
Yeah.
right? And you're trying to solve issues, but then you get all these comments and you're like, guys, did you even read the post? Secondly, did you even think before you post it? And it's always then they accuse you, but then they go, it's all about them.
Yeah.
End of the day.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay. That's where I turn it off and go,
Okay, thanks, bye.
Yeah, but so in terms of the whole press thing, I know were they critical of you?
Yeah, very. So like I think that was also a turning point in my career, in the sense that I felt that I had to leave the sport.
Wow.
I mean, of course, this is the past, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's reflective of like just how sometimes, you know, like people are fickle, or sometimes it's also about accepting criticism that is leveled at you. But at that point, I couldn't understand why I was treated like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then I mean there is like still a bit of bitterness, because I feel that I could have done more in terms of like, I don't think I achieved like that much, right? But I could have run faster and all that. But things happen for a reason, I think. And an idea by Nietzsche, which he calls amor fati, right? And that he means that we got to love our faith, our fate. Like all the good things, the bad things, the mistakes, you know, the little victories and the blemishes, like we got to love it and accept it. Instead of like ruminating and regretting.
It means part and parcel of life.
Yeah, correct. But it's not easy to do. I think everyone like grapples with it.
Yeah.
It's a bit Buddhistic in the sense that we need to know like when to let go. Like even when you're talking about trying to achieve something, right, or your passion, right, and then sometimes you will achieve something, you go to great heights, and then it may not be success all the time. So it's a fine balance between like knowing that okay, enough is enough, and I need to let go and move on to the next chapter, which is the underlying theme of your whole series, right?
The turning point.
So turning point,
turning point.
So I think the whole of Singapore is going through a turning point.
Yeah, I think so. 'Cause
Yeah.
on the ground, I feel there's a lot of like, I wouldn't say unhappiness, but maybe discontent. There's
Discontent.
rumbling. Then the moment something happens, wow, flare up.
Yeah, is it discontent because we are very Singaporean and we love to complain?
We're
That's
generally
part and
quite a discontented lot. I mean, generally,
Yeah, maybe first world problems to some extent.
I think so.
I think we are also very privileged and lucky to
Entitled.
to in some like at some level, right? But very privileged and lucky to have
Yeah.
a country that's run so efficiently, and there are so many.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, I personally, given this year being SG60, I personally felt a lot of contentment with how far we have come.
Exactly.
Whether as a nation,
Yeah.
society, and all. There will always be discontent, but I think we should count our
When
blessings.
there's no utopia.
no, there's
at
no
the end of the day.
Yeah,
So
there's nowhere that's perfect.
how do you look, and and coming from a philosopher point of view, how do you look at the picture and say, half glass empty, half full kind of thing, lah?
Yeah.
Like do you people? Of course, there are people struggling to survive,
Yeah.
and there are people who have enough but go, I want more,
Yeah.
And where does it all balance
I think
out?
that's part of the human condition in the sense that we are always discontented, right? That's inherent. And I think a lot of like religions and moral like frameworks teach us how to actually have gratitude, right?
Yeah, yes.
Right. And that discontent can actually, it's like quite a double-edged sword in a sense that discontent can drive you to try and achieve more, right? Because you think you can do better or you deserve better. But I think it's about a sweet spot in terms of like being also grateful for what you have, and that discontent or ambition can actually be a bit toxic, right? To yourself.
yes.
Like,
And people around you as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like turning points. I think we're going through a turning point in terms of like the state of the economy. And I think Prime Minister Lawrence Wong talked about it also, right? Like the whole disruptive force of generative AI, and how it's going to impact like Singaporeans in terms of like work, but also like the future generation in terms of what are employers going to be looking for when they go into the working world, when generative AI can actually take over a lot of the things that we used to be able to do, right? So it's a turning point. We're all at a turning point. But one blessing is like you can see the amount of resources being poured in by Skills Future, right, and the government to help Singaporeans like navigate this sort of crossroads. But on a psychological, right? So that's amazing, right? So the government is working with different people to help you, if you want to change profession and all that kind of thing.
Especially us mid-career people.
Yeah, we're all the mid-career.
Yes,
Have
totally
you
identify.
you've used Skills Future usually.
I've used it.
Have you used your Skills Future?
I've used it
what?
I've used it to pay for my masters at NUS.
Eh, can ah?
Yeah, can.
Yes.
It's excellent.
It's almost like fully covered, right?
No lah,
like so the
masters.
government like gave us like a 40% discount
on the master's
course. Program. That's amazing. That's like $20,000-$30,000.
Oh, I thought Skills 25,000. Then on top of that.
But there's another facet of the program where they encourage people to move into certain industries, right? And to upgrade. So certain programs in NUS, NTU, and SMU will be subsidized by virtue of that in certain fields.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's right. You are currently a student as well,
Yeah.
apart from working with students.
Yes.
So what led you to want to like, okay, let's go back to the books again, because it probably has been some while since you last had your bachelor's degree.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so maybe it's that restlessness. Maybe it's a bit of discontent. That's why I said that like life is quite like a polarity in the sense that it's always about balance, but how do you find that balance, right? So I think that the athlete in me was a bit like felt that I can do more, and I also want to look at like long-term employability, right? In terms of being able to have options, because like the reality is that the job market or like the wider global economy is unpredictable, right?
But as an educator, don't you think that's already a lifelong calling? It's like,
Sorry,
as an educator, isn't that lifelong calling already?
in what sense?
Stability in terms of
Oh.
employability. I mean, if you think about job markets, but you're so stable in where you are, right?
Actually, I'm like on a contract.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
So I mean,
see.
so that one. But I think also education, like now, because like the whole concept of lifelong learning, you can actually educate outside of just like schools, right? So I wanted to make my skill sets a bit more, I don't know, make it look more relevant like to the private sector and other facets of public sector, because I also think that maybe people may not have a complete understanding of what teachers do in terms of like the skills and competencies, right? Maybe
Yes.
they remember their primary school teacher who throw chalk at them.
Duster as well.
Yeah. So, but we do a lot of things. Stakeholder management. Yeah. I mean,
Admin.
parents are stakeholders,
yeah,
right?
true. Stakeholders.
My goodness.
Right. And actually, it's also the joy of like being plugged into like the real world. When you do like a master's in comms, you actually study the real world, and then you see the applicability of those skill sets.
Yep. UK Shyam is with us. If you have just tuned in to the Leong Form podcast, he is who we're tuned in by way of Apple podcast or Spotify or even on YouTube. So thank you for joining us.
A lot of common misconceptions about young people today. You've worked with them, you teach them. What are the common misconceptions? Because I was talking to you earlier about intergenerational bashing.
Oh yes,
right. They bash us, we bash them. Everybody's not happy.
Tit for tat.
Yeah, I tell you, young people nowadays, that boomer, and then you're like, hey, stop it. So, what are the positive points about the people that you teach today, or that you come in contact with today?
I think they're quite creative. I think they think out of the box. I think they've grown up on a diet of content that's like a lot wider than what we were exposed to, right?
I was some Channel 5 only.
Yeah, last time Channel 5 only. Then every time switch on TV, then I see you on TV. But that was good. That was good.
Mine was 90s, okay? Oh dear.
That was Aksi Mat Yoyo.
Aksi Mat Yoyo. My goodness, no.
Yeah, okay.
No, my classmate was.
But you were on the news.
No, I wasn't. I was under one roof, and then
Yes,
Gurmit's World.
Yes, that was great.
Wow, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
Thanks. But that's the thing. So they're creative because they're open to so much input that if they are creative, they can start to think of how to evolve the content.
I think they are creative in the sense that their worldviews are a bit more multicultural, because I think that they are not fed on a diet of just local content. Not that local content is bad, but I'm just saying that the nature of like media platforms, like whether it's Instagram and all this, makes it such that you get content and videos from all over the world, right? So I think in that sense, they have a lot more exposure.
Working around, I mean, last time when Stanley you were with media, and you were in schools and stuff and working. Do you have? I mean, how did you manage to negotiate and navigate these kind of intergenerational, issues? Were you brushing them off? How did you? Because I work constantly with people from all generations in the theatre.
Yeah.
Right?
That's great.
It's great.
Yeah.
So sometimes I get a bit like, how do I deal with this situation? Because someone older, for example, is behaving like that. Or someone younger is behaving like that. And then suddenly you're in this whole new environment of, okay, how do I deal with this? Yeah.
Interesting. I never really had issues dealing with those who were older or younger than me. Not so much. Rather, I, strangely enough, was having a little bit more run-ins with those of my generation.
Really?
Oh, wow.
So it may not be even a generational thing anymore, at least for me.
Yeah.
It's a personality thing.
Maybe it's a personality thing.
Right?
Yeah, but maybe Sham would probably have more of that to comment on, given that you're working with younger kids, students,
I
rather.
I think sometimes it's just good to like empathize and put yourself in their shoes. And I think we were just chatting just now about how they've grown up in a reality that's quite different from us that have like sort of been at the crossroads of like old media and new media, right? So when you remember that, I think that actually helps you empathize and understand why they view things a certain way, and there's a lot of validity in some of their points of view lah. So I think empathy works regardless of whether you're speaking to someone from the older generation or the younger generation.
Yeah, that's good advice. I must learn to empathize a little bit more because I tend to jump to things very quickly and then I react very emotionally rather than go, okay, take a step back and start to
Do they
rationalize.
have a point of view? Like, does it make sense?
You know?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's very reactional because you need things done.
Yeah.
And then someone checks out and goes, I can't, I'm having a mental health day. You're like, what? You just came in to work, you know?
Oh, are you alluding to something? Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think
Yeah.
for example.
Yeah. I mean,
Do you know? Or,
but this whole idea of like being stressed out and all, I think it's a reality, but it also alludes to something that a lot of us need to nurture, and it's not easy to lah. Which is, I think, the issue.
No,
of-
I completely understand if people, when someone needs a break and please go. But I guess we came from a generation where we just did it anyway, regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, if we tried to get mental, we're like, yeah.
I guess awareness was way
Awareness,
lower.
I guess so.
During our times of growing up.
You mean like awareness of like
awareness
mental
of
mental
people's needs.
mental health and
I think that was not like a good thing and a bad thing. Like in a bad thing in the sense that we were not equipped with like the vocabulary and understanding of, right? And people didn't talk about it. So I think people were just like suffering in silence, which is problematic inherently. But again, I think it comes back to that equilibrium, right?
Yeah.
And then now it's good that people are aware about the mental toll that things can take on us. But like, are we then also becoming too soft? Like, do we have the resilience to?
That's why, how do we do, what do we do?
Yeah, what do we do? It's really tricky. But I think that this whole idea of resilience is something that is core to like what I've examined as an athlete. And then, we look at all our swimmers and our soccer players and basketball players and we look at world champions and all that. And central to that is the whole issue of resilience. And like, how do we nurture and hone that? And of course, like you said, the intergenerational bashing comes about when we think like, oh, is this generation a bit too soft? Like when we were, right?
Yeah.
But then our parents said the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like when we complain about taking bus, our parents say, oh, I walked for 2 hours to school.
Not 500.
It's tricky, but I think it's an eye-opener.
but really tapping on this sportsman mindset that you had cultivated, right from when you were a teenager. How has that geared you up for life even now? I mean, things that you were taught to be resilient, whether it's discipline, whether it's all about the mindset.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of these things have stuck from when you were training to be a professional national athlete to what you do now, and it continues to be something you carry with you.
Definitely. But of course, I also have my weaknesses. I think I developed resilience by default at that point because of like just the cards that were dealt to me. Athletics at that time wasn't that conducive in terms of the support structures and all that, right? So if I loved the sport, I just had to do it on my own, and then I started getting support after I broke the national record, and my life like changed lah. A wonderful experience. But that resilience was just the circumstances at that point in time. So I didn't have a coach at one time. I'd have to read books on sports science, that
YouTube
videos or sometimes like work as a waiter and eat leftover food, because if you didn't work as a waiter, then you don't have money. you don't have money to train. You eat the leftover food because you don't have money for lunch, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those were long time ago. But I think as a person now, I've become more resilient when I face difficulty.
So can resilience be taught?
That's a very important question. I think it's like an ongoing thing and I think like Singaporeans are realizing that it's so important, and we're thinking about how can we nurture it in the current generation, right? I think I'm at a crossroads again in my life in terms of like how to reinvent myself, how to
Stay relevant.
stay relevant.
Yeah.
You took the words right, exactly, right?
But the same,
Yeah,
generation,
I
same
mean, right.
crossroads.
True.
In the NEP rally speech, you're talking about that,
Yeah.
right? The whole change in paradigms. And so now you're going into a new field, you learn about comms and you learn about HR, and then you're a student again. And then sometimes you realize that, you don't know the content as like at the back of your head because it's new theories,
Yeah.
right? And then also like trying to look for new employment and new prospects. I think that's about resilience because you have to step out of your comfort zone. So I think
sure.
it's very personal in the sense that like, do we want to do the same thing every day, or do we want to be like better versions of ourselves? So resilience is agnostic, field agnostic, like musicians,
Yeah.
actors. Like I think the art scene, a lot of them had to go through that because
If
like
we wanted to be an artist
Yeah.
and continue after COVID.
yeah, we were talking about it at that time, right?
Yes.
I think we were speaking online about
Yeah,
it,
we
like
were.
or if people don't give you a chance or people don't believe in you,
What do you do?
what do you
give
do?
up?
Do you give up? Like, and this is something that every Singaporean will face. There'll be points where you meet people that don't believe in you, and then you keep trying and trying. Do you throw in the towel? Like, do
Yeah.
you believe that you're made of sterner stuff, right? And then like so that's a tricky thing.
Yeah. So going back to Hossan's question earlier to you, Shyam,
Yeah.
he was asking, can resilience be taught? I would say resilience has to be learned through living. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's spot on. I mean, like first it's an abstract concept, right?
Yeah.
I would say that it's a bit nebulous also. What does it
What
mean?
does it even mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's examined a lot in like leadership and development, like in the corporate world and in education. So you can examine it as a concept or like a psychological like disposition. But you're right. I think it has to be lived and experienced.
So does it mean what? Thick skin? Resilience? You must have thick skin.
A bit.
A bit. Stubborn.
Yeah, I think it's self-belief.
What else?
But
Discipline.
But does it mean
Yeah.
that we always have to keep trying to prove ourselves to other people who don't believe in you?
So there you go. That's
Yeah.
another point because, there will be people who won't believe in you.
Yeah, there will
who
be
call
like,
you rubbish.
Yes, there will be people who are not objective
The
or who write
naysayers,
you
yeah.
off, right? Or who are not that fair to you. And then how do we navigate that? So I think again, it's always like the polarity that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
In view of Sally's point about it has to be lived, right? I think actually sports gives you that. When kids or when people do sports, it teaches you resilience on a very visceral way.
Yes.
Because like when you're behind the starting blocks in the 100 meters or in the pool or at the soccer pitch, you're taking that penalty, it's just you and no one else.
Right.
Right. And that little voice talking to you. Or even when you have a bad game, when you lose, how are you going to reset to to not make the same mistakes and be able to have that self-confidence to say that you're better than the other person next to you, or that you're not going to be faced by the fact that you're running next to a world semi-finalist or something like that and push
So
on.
mentally, you also have to be resilient.
Yeah.
Physically, emotionally,
Yes, definitely.
even spiritually as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's the
Wow.
soft skills that emotional resilience is something that I think like a lot of the Singapore education system is trying to focus on now. I mean, like, and parents also realize the importance of it, right? Why do I need to get my kids to do CCA? right? Why do I need them? Why is it important to? Why are you laughing? You don't know.
Because just don't talk about your CCA.
What was your
I
CCA?
was so resilient. I joined the gardening society.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's green. You were ahead of your time.
I hope
know.
the plants were resilient and
They were
stayed
very
alive.
resilient.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just carried one pot to one point A to point B. Yeah, very
At that time, no
resilient.
selfie, so you
Couldn't
couldn't
have
take
nobody.
Okay.
I couldn't prove to people that I was the president of the gardening club.
That's an
But thanks.
achievement.
Cheers. Yeah, it's a nonsense.
Oh dear.
But like, yeah, I think related resilience is also like why we need to experience failure.
Yeah,
Like why
for
it's
sure.
a central part of success.
But do you? I don't know. At this point of time in your life, do you come to this, bright idea, like moment that goes, "Bing"? You know what? I don't have to prove anything to anybody anymore.
Wow.
Do you know, like I've done it, and I don't need your approval. That kind of,
Yeah.
level lah. Because otherwise, you go like, oh, I got to do this. I keep proving this to people. I'd be the best.
Yeah, I think I was like that as a young athlete, and I think to some level that actually kept me in the sport and that drove me to my national record lah, because people doubted me and
So you kept wanting to prove.
yeah, and I said that
show
hey,
you.
yeah, I think like because at that time I think they didn't even allow us. No, I don't think I know. They didn't even allow us to run the 100-meter individual event at one point.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so it's sort of like, oh, if you don't get
Who's
to
they?
It was the sports association
Okay,
like
back then
at
lah.
that time.
At that time lah,
yeah,
yeah,
I mean now the
Yeah, of course,
Singapore
things have
Athletic
changed.
Association is really encouraging and nurturing. So it was that like
But it's the naysayers that push us to go.
yeah,
I'll show
that's
you.
it's like a tricky thing. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
naysayers. But then it can. I think also now at this point in my life, like what
Yeah.
you said, like do we need to actually spend our whole lives proving to people that you are good, or when they put you down, and like I think we should just like leave it. Like there's
Okay.
there's a point where you draw the line and say, I've tried my best, and if this is not good enough, I don't need to prove it to you.
Because it's energy wasting otherwise.
Yeah, it's a
right?
lot of energy wasting, and then it's very external validation,
Absolutely.
and it's very dangerous, I think, to mental health.
Yes, thank you. I need to hear from you. That's
About your therapy now.
yeah, thanks. Wow, therapy work today, man. No, it's because I brought it up because it's difficult for, especially for artists. A lot of us, I would say, are very insecure, and we're always looking for validation, always looking for
Everyone
the
is
applause.
insecure on some
I
level.
guess, yeah. So to push us to be creative, to used to be to prove to that we could do it,
Yeah.
and that we are so someone is whatever. But it's come to a point of time in my life where I go, I've done so many things that I don't need to prove to you.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
I
And if you
can.
and if people still can't see it,
Yeah.
then you actually got to move on, because
Yeah.
you don't
Because my choices are my choices. It doesn't affect you.
Yeah, and,
right?
and then you have good intentions and you're helping others, and if people can't recognize
Yeah,
the,
no,
your
it's all
strengths, then you got to just move on.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thank you. It's nice because it's important for people out there to hear this as well from someone other than us, that seeking validation to a certain point is good.
Yeah.
But where then after that you have to realize personally that I think it's time to say, okay, enough. I think I am very happy where I
Yeah.
am. Yeah.
I think we also assume that, I mean, a lot of the time we are in positions where we have to gain some degree of acceptance, or we are assessed on our performance, like whether at work or, that kind of thing. But I think that can be actually very unhealthy. And we also making the assumption that we are always assessed fairly.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of human relationships are based on perceptions.
Yes, for
that
sure.
may not necessarily always be fair.
Yeah, so I guess at this juncture, maybe it's good to also talk about, self-affirmation and how we need to know where to draw the line and say, we are comfortable, other people's expectations, we don't have to meet them because we are very comfortable in our own skin and our own achievements and skills and talents and that we personally have. But earlier on, Shyam, you mentioned about having to wait on tables, having leftovers for a meal. In fact, I think you did tie that and put that into a book, which you have
yeah,
brought into our
thanks
studio.
for
It's
reminding
called,
me.
Running on empty, which was
Running on
the
empty.
situation you were in. So
Yeah.
tell us more about the book. What led you to wanting to put everything, your experiences, into a book?
Okay, I think my career was quite colorful in a sense, like in those days. And I in the larger scheme of things, I don't think like I achieved like a lot. I think I could have done more, but I think there were a lot of allegorical like content, in the sense that a lot of lessons that I learned about life and myself, about my personal shortcomings as well. And I had quite a lot of media attention at that time, and I left the sport in a quite a bit of a painful way, right? So I felt that it would be valuable to write about it in an objective way. So actually, the author is Kenneth Koo. I ensured that I got someone to write about it, so
Right.
that there's a degree of objectivity in the analysis,
Yeah.
right? So, and then I wrote in bits, so I co-wrote with him, right? But he's the main commentator, and also I also thought that it would be good to be a commentary about Singapore sports at that time, and to appreciate like the inroads and how much we've progressed. So that's why I thought it would be a good thing. So I wrote it, and then the proceeds go to help under-resourced like athletes.
Oh, good.
And the irony is like I wrote about letting go. I wrote about making the transition from an athlete to going into the working world,
Right, yes.
and all that kind of things. And these things are still current.
Of course.
Yeah.
What happens when your athletic career or your sports career stops, or you can't continue as an athlete forever?
Yeah, correct.
What happens next?
Yeah, what happens next? And we're all going to face it. Like to me, what was very difficult is to be able to let go, because I knew that I couldn't move ahead because of the lack of support and my family circumstance.
So where can we find this book?
Oh, okay. So you can get this book at Ethos Books online, right? And also Kinokuniya. So if you want to read about my career, but I think I'm telling you that a lot of things are very relatable to what we face now, as you know, regardless of whether you're a sportsman, then please support.
Of course, we'll do
Thank
that.
you.
And following you on your personal journey, is there a social media platform we can find you?
Oh yeah. Okay, how do I do that?
You can tell me. Tell us.
Will you follow me on Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram.
Yeah.
So you can tell everyone.
Yeah, but maybe our viewers and our listeners don't know where
so
to find you.
So follow me on. Don't look for UK Shyam, Shyam, and then you'll see my name.
Yeah, just search that, right?
Yeah, and then follow me. Yeah,
Because right now you're doing some charity thing.
Yeah.
AW what?
Yes, I'm doing thanks, good. So I'm oh, you're doing all my
I'm your
I'll buy you lunch.
Yeah, thanks.
So right now I'm actually like helping the Autism Resource Center, like with their charity drive to raise funds for people with autism and their families. And again, I think it's so meaningful because it's linked to this idea of people that are in the system that do not have a voice, or that are
They
slightly
fall through the cracks.
yeah,
really.
they fall through the cracks and they are invisible. I think a lot of us are privileged in that sense, right? But people are fighting their own battles. And I think, so this actually helps the families and also helps in job placement for individuals with autism. So working with a lot of organizations who can employ these people and making them, educating individuals with autism to ensure that they have the right skill sets to flourish.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, good on you for doing that, Shyam.
Thank you. No, it's fine. It's a small thing, but yeah, I think
Because
it's
it's an
a meaningful
ongoing thing they face. So we have to help somehow.
Yeah.
In our own capacities, in our charities.
I think the government has like done a lot. Like they're realizing, like if you look at the Forward SG movement, they are realizing that the next chapter is about co-creation and looking at like what you said, looking out for the people that fall through the cracks, you know.
Yes.
Because like a lot of Singaporeans are okay, we're, in the middle band and all that kind of thing, but we cannot forget the struggles or the people, like people that are not the victors, the people that are slightly disadvantaged by just circumstances or situations.
Yeah. Hence, PM Wong said, make it a we society,
Yes,
not a me
exactly.
society,
Yeah,
right? And
exactly.
I completely agree with him.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Shyam, for spending time with us.
No, it's my pleasure. I mean, like the honor's all mine.
Yep. Thank you for joining us here on the Leong Forum. We've been speaking with UK Shyam. And if you want to follow him again, you can search him on Instagram at UK Shyam, spelled SHYAM.
All right. You can tune in for more episodes coming up on the Leong Forum with Stanley and me. Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you want to watch us, like you'll see our faces, you can always follow us on the YouTube. Just search the Leong Forum.
Until the next episode, take care.
Bye.